Parents, you've probably tried everything when it comes to your child's sleep. You've tried the supplements, the blackout curtains, you've changed the light patterns, you've tried it earlier, you've changed the bedtime routine, all these things, but still they're up for 2 or 3 hours a night, or maybe they only sleep for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And what's happening? They're up, down, up, down, up, down. A full night's rest might sound like a myth to you. I'm here to tell you that they're not going to grow out of this. And another supplement, another intervention, another change in routine isn't going to change that child's sleep patterns, because when it is this chronically dysregulated, it stems from the nervous system being dysregulated. And the nervous system dysregulation cannot be altered or changed by an outside in approach. It has to be an inside out approach. You'd be surprised to know that 35% of kids in the US do not sleep enough. And so if we think about that, that means kids are waking up for school, getting on the bus, going to school, then maybe going to sports practice, trying to get homework done, all these things, and they're not even waking up with a full tank of energy during that day. So if you're constantly waking up at only a portion of your total energy, that's going to be very exhausting over a period of time. And sleep is so, so important for kids because sleep does many important things like these five we're going to talk about. First off, when your kid's sleeping, that brain gets that time to go through all the cognitive and memory tasks that it went through that day. So, if the kid went to school, this is when the brain goes through everything it learned, prunes those neurological connections, fine tunes them so they can be activated more efficiently, they can be activated easier, and they can be applied in real life time. Next, we see this is when growth hormone spikes. So the old adage is true. Yes, you grow when you sleep. Growth hormone spikes, and the hardest thing a nervous system will go through as a kid is growth, because everything has to change. And growth hormone is a huge driving force for that matter. Next, we see the immune system builds its infection fighting cells. So we're building up our army. That way, when we experience infection, be it bacteria, virus, what say you, we have all those resources available to mount the immune response and get that infection kicked out in a very ample and efficient period of time. Next, deep sleep REM is where a lot of emotional processing takes place. So, moving through those emotions, understanding them, the brain is creating a deeper understanding. So that way, when they experience that emotion again in conscious time, there's better understanding to it. If you can picture yourself or a toddler, it applies to both. So, picture both with me. But if you try to process an emotional experience or difference, disturbances, anything of that sort when you're tired, it's hard. And especially with kiddos when they have nap times too, what can usually happen? They're fighting during nap time, they're cranky, they're moody, and then they go to sleep and then they come back up in a couple hours or two, and guess what? Boom, they're so much better. So, sleep allows that processing to take place for that building of higher complex brain functions. And finally, sleep is when the body repairs and heals itself. We're repairing the cells, the tissue, organs, restoring hormone levels, all these things so that we have a full tank, a full battery ready for the next day. So, how does this all happen in the first place? Well, we experience an imbalance in the nervous system. Your child has a discrepancy between his gas pedal or his or her gas pedal and the brake pedal. The gas pedal is going to be your sympathetic nervous system. This is going to be that fight or flight or stress side of the nervous system, whereas your brake pedal is going to be your rest and digest side, that growth mode of the nervous system. When we are too stuck on that gas pedal, unwinding for that bedtime routine is really, really hard. So pretend that you're trying to go to bed after chugging 3 energy drinks. The odds of it, unlikely to know. So when that nervous system discrepancy happens, bedtime routines get really challenging, sleep gets really disturbed, and sleep, as we just talked about earlier, is so foundational for the nervous system. So where do these interferences with sleep in the nervous system really stem from? Well, we call it the perfect storm here at Flow Life Chiropractic, and we see it show up in many different ways. One of which is during that prenatal or perinatal period where mom is pregnant with baby. and baby might be exposed to an excess amount of cortisol. Now, usually cortisol can be negated or nullified by mom's placenta, but when there's too much stress being experienced by mom during the pregnancy, the cortisol can get through the placenta, and now that baby's nervous system is being hypersensitized for the gas pedal. Cortisol and the gas pedal go together because that's what triggers the stress response. So now we've made the gas pedal activate way easier. We can also see it in birth interventions where if we have excess amount of birth interventions, this can expose the baby to a lot of physical trauma, such as, but not limited to, forceps, manual extraction, vacuum, C-section, and this even happens to breech because all of these interactions and interventions are going to be affecting the skull or affecting the bottom, both places where the brake pedal lives. So that brake pedal, that vagus nerve where it lives right underneath that skull base, is going to be physically assaulted from too many of these interventions. And then as these kids are born, we can see that they run into some sickness challenges. The vagus nerve is super responsible for mounting immune reactions. So when it is damaged, those immune responses can be dampened. So we get things like a cold, we get a cough, or we get ear infections, and we're going rounds and rounds and rounds of antibiotics. Well, the antibiotics are going to deteriorate a lot of that healthy gut bacteria that we have. And our gut has 70 to 80% of our immune system. Not to mention, if we're not sleeping, you got a colicky baby, for example, who can't rest, doesn't sleep well. Well, guess what? Now we're not rebuilding that immune system. We're not healing all those cells and tissues, and we're further ruining our foundation of the nervous system, going deeper and deeper into what we call dysautonomia, where we are chronically stuck on the gas pedal and your child cannot get back to that brake pedal because they're strictly in protection mode and can't switch on to growth mode. So as sleep is chronically disrupted, this can lead to older kids showing ADHD-like symptoms such as impulsivity, hyperactivity, not wanting to pay attention, or fidgeting constantly. We also see problems with memory breakdown or cognition decrease because, like we talked about, with sleep, we're pruning all those neurological connections, that cognitive experience that we had prior. So your child cannot go through all of those learning processes, and they might have trouble learning because they just don't have the energy or the nervous system bandwidth to do it. The immune system takes a huge hit because those immune markers and cells are not being built up. So very often our chronically sick kiddos have very poor sleeping habits as well. And finally, when kids are chronically sleep deprived, we see a huge correlation with this in depression cases as well. So where's the hope in all of this? Well, the hope is that chiropractic, neurology focused chiropractic, can help your kid shift out of that dysautonomic state away from the gas pedal back into the brake pedal. The way we do that here at Flow Chiropractic is we scan your kid with completely harmless technology. We can look at their HRV, we look at their EMG, we look at their thermal, we look at where the brain and body are disconnected and how dysautonomic we are. And when we find that stuck stress and tension inside the nervous system, which we call subluxation, we'll figure out where it is through the scans, make you a care plan, adjust it. As that stuck stress tension comes out, we're able to shift away, shift your child off of the gas pedal onto the brake pedal, therefore allowing him or her to begin that foundational process of reestablishing, re-regulating the nervous system. It takes time, it takes repetition. That's why every single care plan is unique for every single child, because the amount, the duration of subluxation or neurological interference is different for everyone. There's more interference, guess what? It's a longer care plan because we got to support the body, we got to support your child to move out of that dysautonomic gas pedal state back onto that rest and digest. And it takes time to move through all those stressors and process them rather than store them up and stay stuck. So another supplement, another therapy, blackout curtains, they're not going to re-regulate an already dysregulated nervous system. An outside-in approach is not going to work here. It takes neurologically focused chiropractic to shift your child out of gas into brake pedal, allowing them to reestablish that healthy sleep cycle get them growing, get them thriving in the way that you know they deserve, in the way you know that they can. I'm Dr. Noah Williamson here with Flow Life Chiropractic. I'm serving the Eldersburg, Maryland area and beyond, and I can't wait to meet you soon.